Okay, so today we are talking about leads and appraisals with IRE BDM. Now that is going to cover a few things. We're going to have a look at the BDM dashboard first and foremost. We're then going to go and have a look at how we can add leads, which are mainly our manual leads, and then how we can manage and communicate with leads. We're going to look at the appraisal functionality, and we are going to look at the BDM toolkit. So we're going to have a look at all of those things that you can do in the system. We're going to give you some tips through today, and we're going to make sure you have a few things to take away. Now I can see a few more people dropped in, so just a call out for those who've just joined us. Any questions, throw it in the chat. The lovely Kim and Amanda, who have just said hello in there, are there to answer them for you. Now, before we get started in the system, I am going to throw out a quick poll for you. Just want to understand what you guys are currently using in the BDM tool. So throwing it out there, feel free to answer, pick one, pick a few, pick many, and hopefully you'll learn a few things as we go through today. Okay, I can see some people are using campaigns. That's good. Campaign's a great feature, not necessarily covered today, but something you can use to keep on top of your leads automatically. So a nice little engagement tool. Leaves it open a little bit longer. Give everyone a chance to do it. And we'll close that off now. So it looks like we don't have a lot of people using a lot of this functionality. That is good because some of these are things we're going to either showcase or we're going to take you through today. So you'll see a little bit about our appraisals. You'll see our tenant calculator. You'll see the referral links. And we'll talk a little bit about those templates and campaigns you can do, particularly with the email template designer. Okay. So let's jump into our platform. And here we are in BDM. So the very first thing we're doing is we're just sitting in IRE BDM and we are sitting on the dashboard. Now, the dashboard is your interactive tool. This should be a real high-level view of your to-do list. So if I'm coming in the morning, first of all, I might want this dashboard filtered to myself. I'm looking at it over in Office, but I might be working as Sally Smith and I might be looking at a particular date period. I might also want to customize what I see. So depending on my priorities, I might not want to see widgets about management secured. I might just want to focus on things like my current pipeline, my follow-ups, my calls, etc. And then as I look through here, straight up the top, this is my to-do list. I've got 2 new leads to be actioned. I've got 14 due for follow-up. And I've got 2 appraisals where I actually need to go put feedback in. This is an interactive dashboard. So as I click through things, if I look at these new leads to be actioned, I click through straight away. I'm in a pre-filtered lead search that shows me what I need to do. I've got 2 new leads. One's an appraisal request. One's a manual lead. I can see the properties or the latest notes, and I can see the ratings and the BDM there attached. So giving me some real clear actions. If I click through to my appraisals, exactly the same. I can see those appraisals in which I need to provide feedback and make sure I have those next steps in place. Ooh, coming into lettings, that's a bit of a flashback. So this should be your day-to-day. It should be where you jump in. You can see straight away what you need to do. You can click through to do it, and then you can also see your results. So I can see that over this period, I conducted 6 appraisals. Of those appraisals, 3 were complete and proceeding. And I've also secured 4 management. So it looks like I got a management there. I didn't actually complete the appraisal or put in appraisal feedback. I can see my sources and where I'm getting business. So what referrers are putting business through to me. And then over the side, I can see things such as my conversion, my pipeline, and the outcomes of any follow-ups or contact sessions. So a really good tool, keeps me up to date, keeps me actionable. Now, what we're going to look at from here is we're going to look at our leads and appraisals. So we're going to go through the basics. Then we're going to go into our tools and have a look at all the cool stuff we have available to us. So I'm going to come straight down to leads, and I'm going to sit within the leads grid, and I'm just going to clear out that predefined search. Now, for those of you who are a little bit experienced, you hopefully have customized your views or you're aware of things that you can do around your own viewing. But for those of you who are fairly new, up the top here, we have the ability to set the view, pin certain columns, and then pull certain searches in. So I'm going to flip my search to my current leads. And then up the top, this little eye icon, I could change what I see, and I can also change the order. So perhaps I might not want to see rating, or perhaps I might want to add in certain fields like achieved rent or date created. I could add those in, hit save, and that will update the view. I'm going to take my categories off, and I might pop my inquiry date on. Hit save, that's updated. You can also pin. So here I've got my lead ID and my properties pinned. So what that means, and I'm going to drag this open a little bit more, is as I scroll through this grid, I will always have that lead ID and that property available to me as the first thing I see. If you prefer to work contact first, you might pin the contact up front, particularly as you might not have property details yet. You might pin the follow-up date as well, or you might click into it and sort it, knowing what your priorities list are. So for example, with John, no follow-up date. Minnie Mouse, haven't spoken to, 5 months overdue. Hulk Hogan, also overdue. So now I know which order I should be working through these leads. And I have the bulk selector. So with the bulk selector down the bottom, I can contact, so I could use some pre-created communications, whether it's templates or whether I just type in. Down the bottom, I could also start a contact session. So we'll have a look at a contact session after we dive into a lead, but a really great way to sit here, bang out a lot of calls, update the statuses, and get in touch with a lot of people. So a few bulk icons you can do with through there, mainly the communication and the contact session, really great tools if you are wanting to communicate with a lot of leads in one go. Now over the side, everywhere in our system, we have 3 dots. So 3 dots up the top, new lead, really important one. 3 dots against a lead. We can book an appraisal, add a note, we can merge it if it's duplicate, or again, we have our create new button. So the create new, the source of all new things in IRE, and where I can add a manual lead. So let's add a manual lead. So we're going to hit create new. We're going to go new lead, prospective landlord, and we're going to add that lead detail into the system. Now, if you guys have your IRE BDM set up for you, a lot of your leads will automatically come into the system. So you might be getting leads from portals, you might be getting leads from referrers or referrer links. They might come from websites, they might come from all sorts of places. How they come into your system and what happens next is defined by your system settings, but then you also have the chance to add them in manually. So if I wanted to add them in manually, first thing you want to do is try and get as much information about them as possible. But you might also want to start with the mobile phone number because you can do a little contact lookup. So if I put in the mobile, spun the little wheel there, it's telling me I don't have this contact in InspectRealEstate. So I'm going to add one in. Pop in Peter Macker. Now, if you can, grab their emails, because if you have all of those automated communications or campaigns set up, IRE is going to start communicating to Pete for you. Rather than you sitting there and manually talking to him, within a day, you could have it set up to then respond to him. You could have an email go out, then another one in 3 weeks later, then another one a month later. You can pop in the address. You can check their subscriptions. So if Pete here has said, yeah, look, I have a property, would love you to look after it. Please don't send me any spam. You could unsubscribe him. I'm going to assign this to Sally to deal with, or you could auto assign. And then down the bottom, we have information about the appraisal. So, or the inquiry date, I should say. So the inquiry date time stamped today. Next follow-up has defaulted to the 23rd. But let's say I had a chat with him. He said, call me back in 2 days. I can pop in a referrer. I can also put in a category and I can mark the temperature of this lead. So let's say I actually know that he probably wants to go ahead with an appraisal, looking pretty keen. I might put him in as warm. If he's already told me his property details as well, that's great. I can add in the property that is looking for management services. So he said 12 guard, and that is in Toowoomba. So I've just done a little search, I've added it in, and I could update anything as I go. So again, bedrooms, bathrooms, any description you have, pop it in now. Helps you as you get down the line to that appraisal and then that management space. Save and close. That's in the system, ready to go. And again, depending on how you've set up your BDM, you might find that there are certain status change wizards that pop up as you do anything. There are certain communications or campaigns that might apply. So always thinking about that customer journey as you add your leads in and as you set up your BDM account. So I've got a little status change wizard. Popping in next, 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 it is going to send a notification to the BDM for me, just letting Sally know that, hey, we've got a new lead in, contact Pete. And it's done. He's in. So he's added in, good to go. Now the system starts to take over. So we'll have a look at a few things from here. We'll dive into a lead. We'll update a few things in the lead, perhaps book an appraisal if we're lucky, and we'll look at just the basics of a contact session. So I'm going to come in here, 3 guard. We're going to look at Jason Momoa, and we're just going to click through to the lead ID. So very similar as we saw before, we've got the contact information. We do want to try and get an email if we can. We have the lead details and BDM. And then down the bottom, we now have more things to work through. So contact history, this is our date time stamp of what's happening in the system. In this case, whether a property was added, if there was any emails, if there was any notes, all of that would pop in here. Down the bottom, we can add a note, we could send an email or send an SMS. So if I made a call to Jason, I could add a note here. I could pop in a quick subject. I could pop in a note, follow-up call, and I could select the note type. So I'm going to say it's a call note. I contacted Jason and he requested a call back. Hit add note. That's now added into this lead. And as I pop down, I've now got that record there. If I've made a call and he's requested a follow-up, that next follow-up, best practice, update that, because that's going to define, particularly if you're using filtered searches, when you trigger your next action. Popping it onto the 27th so that I have that there. Across in property. So I already have a property in place, 3 guard here, Centenary Site Heights. And as I come down, I can book the appraisal through here. So we have a little book appraisal link through here. If I've had a look and a chat with Jason and he said, yep, let's book a link, I can use a short link or I can go to my appraisal booking page. Now this is an internal user mode. It does connect to things like your ideal week, and it's already defaulted to the property based on my selection in IRE. So I'm going to hit same as above. I'm going to hit next, and then I'll book in that date and time depending on what I've discussed with Jason. Now I'm going to do a calendar override. So I'm going to book it in. I've told him I'll be there Saturday, and I will be there not at 8 a.m. on a Saturday, 10 a.m. and we're going to spend 45 minutes together. Hit submit. That appraisal's now booked in. That's going to appear on my dashboard. That's going to prompt me to pop in feedback as it comes up, and that's going to lead me to those next steps. Now, further along, we have campaigns. So some of you might have seen campaigns before. Campaigns are a great way to automatically keep in touch with this lead. So some of these campaigns might apply as soon as I move the lead to a new status, or I can manually add a campaign to JSON here. So if I hit add campaign, I could look at a campaign around appraisal booking or looking to purchase. That's going to default here with that campaign. I can select the start date. I'm going to start it tomorrow. I can select when it starts, step 1, or perhaps other steps, and I can select the end date. Now, that's a good way to keep in contact, but for Jason, he has already booked an appraisal, so I am happy to just go ahead with that. We do have the virtual listing kit. So the virtual listing kit, we're going to have a little chat about that in the BDM toolkit, but a really nice digital little presentation about our services, highlights what we can do for a lead, highlights some of our services and success, and a nice little thing to take as you go to those pitch or proposal meetings. Now I'm going to hit save and close. Now that one's booked in, and I'm going to again follow up that status change wizard and let BDM communicate for me. Run a little refresh on my screen and update that. Now, if we pop down Jason here, you can see that updated follow-up date. Now we're going to dive into another lead. We're going to look a little bit deeper at that lead status. Now, popping back into Pete here, clicking through to the lead. As I work through exactly the same kind of content and contact, I could update. So I could come down, I could update the lead details. I could check the contact history. Against the property, if I hadn't already had the property in, I could update information there. If you have your integrated REI ADL forms, you can pop in and update or create any management agreements. You can add files and you can book appraisals. So we're going to do the same thing. You guys are going to see this twice, and then we're going to update our lead status. So I'm going to pop from book an appraisal. Now I can pick any property, but I am going to pick the property he's given me. You could get that short link. If I got that short link, all it would look like is a little short link that I could copy and send out. I'm going to book it for him. Same process. We're going to pick same as above. We're going to hit next. We're going to look to see if there's any available dates based on your ideal week, or we're going to just do a quick calendar override, book in the time, book in the duration, hit submit. Now, once that's booked in, that's going to appear here. We'll just do a little refresh. Down we come. We've got our appraisal booking, cross in appraisals. We've got that in place, ready to go. And you can see my lead status is now at meeting appraisal booked. So it's updated that once I have that in place. Save and close, and it's good to go. So a lot of things you can do individually with a lead. You can update the lead information. You can use those booking links to book appraisals. You can add notes. You can send emails. You can also add campaigns. Now, before we get into our appraisals, we are going to just quickly talk about our contact sessions, and we're going to demonstrate a contact session. So there's two ways we can do a contact session. Now, you might come into your dashboard here, and then up the top, you might filter to your contact sessions. Now, this is a really great tool for those people who like to say do a contact session every morning between 9 and 10, or every afternoon between 3 and 4. Because as you come into contact sessions, this allows you to launch a session, and this will allow you to basically go through and do communication after communication to leads requiring a follow-up based on that follow-up date. Bang, 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 put in your outcomes, put in your notes. The other way to do it is leads, and like we saw before, we might do a few selections here, and we might come down to that little contact, and we'll hit start contact session. Now it's pulled up my leads. It's pulled up my contact type. It's going to pre-fill who I contacted or give me the option to select. And down the bottom, I have those contact details. So as I'm having a chat with the lovely Jose here, I can come down, I can update information, I could look at their appraisal, I could add call notes again, just down the bottom. I'm going to pop in the result that he didn't answer, and I'm going to pop in a left message to return call. So I'm going to hit save call and lead. I'm going to update the follow-up date to the 23rd, hit OK. That one's done. Let's go to our next one. So we're going to select our next one. We're going to do the same thing. We'd have a look at Hulk Hogan. We'd grab his mobile number. We'd walk through who we contacted. We'd walk through what the outcome is. Again, informs our stats in our dashboard. And we're going to say info requested, note, asked for contact information and a quick coffee. So down the bottom, I might then use these communication tools. So I could hit send email, I could use a template, or I could just straight type in, hi Hulk, thanks for the chat. Looking forward to coffee this weekend. Now I could send that across, go okay. I've logged the call, I've sent that, I'm going to hit save call and lead. Now I'm going to update that follow-up date again. We're going for the 29th and okay. So really good tool, helps keep you up to date, helps move you through it. You can see I've made 2 out of 5. If I was to click on the next one, I could keep walking through these calls. So nice little tool available through dashboard contact sessions, or if you're working in the leads grid, you can select the leads you'd like to contact and then start the call session. Now we'll keep on walking through the lead life cycle. So we've done a manual lead. We've spoken to a few leads. We've updated some property and appraisal information. Our appraisals that are booked are going to come into appraisals and appraisals. But we're going to jump into our dashboard where we can then work through and start updating our appraisal feedback. Now, the good thing you'll note here is my call session's still going. So if you, like me, get distracted in the office, walk away, go get a coffee, have a meeting, come back, your call session will still be here for you. It's only when you stop it that the call session finalizes. So I might leave that to a little bit later today and start my appraisal feedback. Clicking in, I now have those appraisals. So you can see the one I booked with Pete, the one I booked with Jason, and some ones that I've had before that I haven't actually updated yet. Recapping on earlier, eye icon hides columns, pinning certain fields. 3 dots, always important for any action items against an individual item or against the grid. And as you scroll across, you can see the appraisal details. You can add notes, you can see the feedback status and the proceeding status. Let's come down to Jason here. Let's go 3 dots. Let's pop in feedback. So once we've done the appraisal, we can identify whether it's proceeding, not proceeding, or not sure. So in this case, he's not sure. I'm going to hit completed, and then it pops up with a grid for me to update more information. So I'm going to say he's mild. I'm going to extend the next follow-up date. I'm just going to say next Friday. And then coming down, I can update the property details. So while I was there, I noticed it was 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a garage. It's a house. Not bad little place. Might have some mold issues. Additional details, I could add any additional details about the status of that property. So is it vacant? Is it tenanted? Is it owner occupier? If I know the date it would be available, I can add that in. Financials, now I've got my default fees in here. I'm going to set them as ideal fees, hoping this is what I get, but knowing that I'll probably be negotiating. And I can also add a contact or appraisal note. Up the top, we'll call out again, I've got that opportunity for updating that status. So I could update it through here. A lot of this will happen automatically for you though. Now my feedback's completed against the appraisal, property information up to date, new follow-up date in place. And it's cleared off my predefined search. Again, Sally, Pete here, 3 dots, feedback. Now you do have the opportunity to reschedule or cancel, but I'm going to pop in feedback. Pete's loved it, thought it was the best thing. We're going to hit proceeding. We're going to pop in a notification here. So we've got notification set up for Pete and the BDM, and we're going to hit completed. We'd want to do the same thing. We'd want to go through, update those property details, update any outcome information. Again, feeding back to InspectRealEstate, really cool and really helpful if we are then going to list this. So it's tenanted, the lease end date is not for a while, so we're taking over the management. From the financials, I've given him a 300 to 5, oh, let's not go too wild, 300 to 400 rent. And whilst I hit set ideal, I will have negotiated on the fees here. So it's actually a 5.5% management fee. Gonna add a note, loved the pitch. Will be signing once presented a new agreement, and hit submit. Popping back to IRE now, again, moved out of my to-do list. So really, really cool tool, allows you to update the information of the appraisal, allows you to pop that feedback in, allows you to communicate with people in the system. Now I have been neglecting our chat a little bit here, but what I am going to do is just have a quick look in. Looks like we have not many questions to go, so we might keep rolling, but just a call out, if you guys do have any questions, please throw them into the chat. We do have the lovely Kim and Amanda there. Now, for everyone's benefit, I have popped into that lead where that appraisal was proceeding, and you can see that lead status now is sitting in appraisal complete proceeding. As we pop down, if I was to have a look at the property there, all those beds and baths have updated. The details have updated, the fees have updated. And if I needed to list that, or if it was going on the market and I was using ROL or our lettings products, I could convert that to a rental property. So had the lead, won the appraisal, convert to rental and advertise it, use lettings to continue on the process. Okay, so we'll recap a little bit before we talk about our BDM toolkit. So under IRE BDM, dashboard, where we can see all our actionable items. We can apply filters, we can customize, and we can click through to see certain things that we need to action, whether it's new leads, whether it's leads for follow-up, whether it's appraisals that we need to enter feedback. As we pop down, we can see information such as our sources, such as how many appraisals we've conducted. And over the side, we can see things such as our conversion rates, our follow-ups, our contact sessions. Leads and leads, this is where all of our leads fill in. Now these leads, a lot of them are automatically pulling into IRE from a wide different range of sources. So that could be your sale properties, people who have inquired with things like investor or landlord or rentals. As they come in, depending on how you have your system set up, certain follow-up dates might be in place, certain BDMs might be applied automatically, campaigns can be applied, templates can be applied. And then you can work through your leads one by one, or you can do a bulk contact session. So working one by one, you can jump into the lead itself. You can update the contact details. You can update the status, which can trigger certain communications. You can track the contact history and send individual comms, add a property and book an appraisal, add a campaign, and also look at our virtual listing kit. Now, we do have those contact sessions. So I've left the contact session open. Our contact session can be accessed via the dashboard or contact sessions, and via leads, where we can bulk select the people we want to contact, come into our contact session, and then start working through those contacts. As you're logging calls, as you're sending emails, good opportunity to update certain information. And you can see all of that tracked here. I've got my lead, I've got my contact, I've got the result, and I've got some notes. Walk away, pause it, stop it when it's completed. So we'll stop it, we'll go, okay, it's done. Once your appraisals are booked, you can get into them from the dashboard, or you can come down to appraisals, and from the 3 dots for future ones, you can reschedule or cancel, or you can provide feedback, which will allow you to nominate the outcome and update property information. Last little thing we will jump along to is our toolkit. Now, the toolkit is your resource for anything you might want to do to help build more leads or to nurture the leads that you have. So over the side here, IRE BDM tools, got a few different things here. So let's start with the link builder. I'm going to pop across to saved links, and then we're going to look at actually how to build a link. So your saved links, or your links that you may have built, are a good way for you to generate more leads based on the input of a survey. So Sally's link here, I might view the link. This is a little referral link we've built. Someone clicks on it, they can pop their first name, last name in. They can update their information and add comments. They can also update their property information. Now, I could put this in my email signature with a little interested in our services. I could put this in email campaigns. I could put this in action buttons. I could put this in my profile on the websites. Anywhere that I want to start having more leads generated, I can embed this link. For my sales team, I might give my sales team a link that they can then use as part of their settlement process, as part of their email campaigns. I could also have it embedded into certain newsletters coming out of my CRM. That will fill leads in, and again, coming into those leads grids for me, so I don't have to then go and manually generate a lot of work. Now in Link Builder is where I can then build these links. So I could say I'm going to build a link for Will. Now I can pre-select a source here. So I could use, let's say, Google, but you probably would want to have a specific source set up. If this was for a referrer, I would pop in the referrer. So if I wanted to give it to Angelina Jolie refers me a lot of business, I'd set up this link for Angelina, give it to her, she can send it through to me. And I can select the initial status, so that initial status will then default trigger what happens after that. Pop in my page title. So let's go LMC Management Services, and put a few things in. So I could use different layouts. I could bypass property info. If it's for an external referrer, I could select that, changes the link slightly. If I wanted them to be able to select a referrer, I could also do that. I could include custom questions. So if I wanted to set up some custom questions and messages, I could pop that in. And then down the bottom, I can test it. I can show a short link, and I could also save it. So I might save this link now, LMC Management Services, hit OK, that's ready to go. Very nice and easy, saves us all the work, lets people access and opt in to hear from us. Coming across to our next little tool, Tenant Calculator. Now the Tenant Calculator here, this is a tool where we can see the number of tenants who are currently looking for properties that match the data entered. So if I was a landlord or a prospective landlord and I had a property and I wanted to have a sticky beat about how good you guys would be on leasing my property, this is a way we can do it. Now you can do it in two different ways. You can use a calculator link or iframe, which can be embedded anywhere, or you can just pop it in here as a tool, and then you might be able to find out how many you have. So let's say a house in Brisbane, 3 bedrooms, see what a training account brings out. I don't have anyone that would match it. But this would generically pull through any tenants actively looking for a specific type of property, and then it becomes part of your closing technique. Thank you for having me on site. As discussed, your rent we'd probably estimate about 400. I've already had a look at our database. I've had a look at how many prospects we have. Looks like we have about 100 tenant prospects looking for a property like this. These are people in our database. Once we list your property, they're going to be automatically notified and they're going to be invited to register. And then it just becomes part of that conversation for you. If you look at the link, I'll just copy the link, popping it in, very simple interface. I can select, okay, it's a house. It has 2 bedrooms, 500 asking rent, and I can select a few suburbs. Calculate again, gives them the option to do that. So it's going to spin away, show how much we have. So I've got 3 matching tenants, 1,000 potential applicants. Pretty good example. So that's definitely one that can be used, can help, particularly as you have those prospecting conversations, you're trying to win that management. Now, I did mention earlier the virtual listing kit. Now, the virtual listing kit, not working too well in my account, apologies today, but you can have a look in here and you can edit what falls into that virtual listing kit. It is a digital proposal. It does invite people to look at your services. So you do want to spend a little bit of time customizing the message, having a look at your profiles, showing particularly what you might want to say, and you can come through and pick whether things are displayed or hidden, pick certain things that go in, whether you're talking about your marketing, whether you're talking about preparing your property, whether you're talking about your leasing process. So investing a little time against the leads, you are able to generate that virtual listing kit and you'll be able to send that to a landlord. Now, a few other call outs I will make while we're here against the marketing section here. This is where we can look at campaigns. It's where we can look at newsletters, and it's also where we can design our own emails. So if we want to do some really cool marketing, you want to spend a bit of time in here. Now, we're not going to go too far in here. All we're going to show you here is that you can set up campaigns which apply at certain statuses. Those campaigns will then remove at certain statuses, and they can also have multiple triggers. So if I've lost a property, you don't want to ever give up on a property you've lost, because you know what? They're not going to necessarily remember who they chose. They're going to remember who gave them the best service. So when I've lost a property, I might have a little nurture campaign wishing them well. When I have a new lead, I might want to attach a newsletter campaign. When I have people coming in from portals, I might want to make sure I've set up a campaign to automatically respond to them. Sky's the limit, takes a lot of thinking, but does do a lot of work for you. Your newsletters, where you can set up newsletters to head out of Inspect Real Estate. You can turn your sending on, you can customize the color, you can customize the images, you can select and order or randomize the content, and all of the content sitting in Inspect Real Estate. So you can just use what we've got. You don't have to be creative. You don't have to use anything. You can use what we've got. An email template designer. So if you really like to build some fancy tools or some fancy marketing, this is a great way to design your own little newsletter-like campaigns. You can set it up for a BDM, you can set it up for a referrer, and you can set it up for contacts. So you can keep in touch with any of those and have a nice little looking newsletter differentiates you from other people using Inspect Real Estate. So a couple of cool things you can do there under your marketing and under your tools section. Now I can see we've been very quiet on the chat, so we are going to come back to our learning objectives and we're going to pop out a quick poll, find out what you guys liked most out of today. So I'm going to launch a quick poll there. We're just going to find out what was your favorite tool or tip before we do some recap. So was it the dashboard? Do you like the idea of referral links? Oh, I can see people are already on that one. Do you like contact sessions? Great way to bang out a lot of calls. Or do you like things like customized templates, which we didn't cover in detail, but definitely worthwhile if you're interested in investing in BDM? Amazing. So it looks like a lot of people liked referral links. Few people liked the customized templates and contact sessions. Nice one. Okay. So overall referral links won. Good. I like it. Really good way to do it. Put it anywhere. Put it in your sales CRM. If you're using Agent Box, put your quick call to action buttons in place in your newsletter. Get that in. Get it in your activity schedules. Get it in your settlements. Really cool little tool. So we will do a recap, and the lovely Kim is going to pop a little feedback survey into the chat for us. We do really appreciate some feedback on our training. We like to know what you would like to hear from us next. So that'll go in the chat. Please feel free to pop it in. Now, from here, just a quick recap. We went through the dashboard. We went through adding and managing leads, conducting appraisals, and the BDM toolkit. It is all available for you in our help center. So anything we went through today, if you would like to know more about it, cannot recommend Repeat Academy enough. That's going to give you the chance to self-learn about our tools. It's going to give you the option to enroll through the content library, go ahead and do all of the training, and that can be across any of our property management products. Under the webinars, jump into any of our webinars. So right at the top, we've got our Inspect Real Estate. We've got our next one is to apply health check, then keyware. And we also have console, Agent Box, or any showcases. And of course, we have our knowledge base. So in our knowledge base, we will also have any of our just generic ones. So if you go, I want to put in a campaign, you just want to follow the steps, jump in our knowledge base, search for that as well. Now, we have had a few people reach out and ask about signing up for BDM or what the cost is. Couldn't tell you the cost, don't control the costs. Definitely not a salesperson myself, but if you are interested, please pop it in the chat and we can get you to the sales team and they can show you and have a chat about whether it's suited for your business so we can take you from there. And I can see that the feedback link is in there. So if you guys would like to fill that out, that would be great. Otherwise, we'll leave it open for a few more minutes. Please feel free to jump in with any last minute questions and thank you for attending.